Deadpool, the Merc with a mouth, has ended the Marvel Universe more than once. He's battled the likes of Gambit and Carnage, but of course, his greatest rivalry, or shall I say camaraderie, is with Logan, and everything from the humor to the action gets dialed up to 11 when Deadpool meets Old Man Logan. Well, that's what we'll be exploring in this video here. The 5 issues of the Deadpool vs. Old Man Logan miniseries. Let's get this party started. Part 1. The series begins with a little bit of obligatory backstory on our 2 main characters. On the one hand, we've got Deadpool, who was given a healing factor and has since tried to be a hero, but now is disillusioned with the whole thing and embraces the title, The Despicable Deadpool. On the other side of the ring, we got the legendary Old Man Logan, a survivor of a wasteland future who woke up in the present, determined to prevent this dystopia from ever occurring. Now, the story starts with our 2 awesome characters running along a highway. Logan is berating Deadpool for something when a van falls from the sky directly onto them. This is then followed by a tank, and just when Logan thinks it's over, we see a plane on fire, falling right on top of them. This prologue ends with Logan screaming at Wade, "I told you not to double dare them!" The story then flashes back to 2 days earlier, a subway train in New York City, where a group of people barges in and starts harassing the passengers. An old woman moans about kids today to the person next to her reading a fake news newspaper and suggests she would pay good money to see someone knock some sense into them. The man reading the newspaper reveals himself to be Deadpool and serially asks her if she would pay him. He then proceeds to kick the snot out of the people bothering everyone while making jokes about print journalism because he's holding a newspaper. Get it? And throws them out at the next stop. But before he can collect his payment from the old lady, he's pulled away by Old Man Logan, supposedly being tracked by some government agency team tracking Deadpool from the air. Deadpool chases Logan out onto the street while making Old Man quips all the way. Logan says he has no time for Wade's antics and calls him a kid. Deadpool is pissed at Logan because he cost him $25. They start fighting, trading blows as well as insults, and Logan even throws in an all bark, no bite joke towards the end with an incident involving a tree. They run into a girl who seems to be giving off streaks of gold energy all around her. Wade asks who she is, and Logan says it's none of his business. Wade takes this personally and gets into a competition with Logan about who can help her best. The girl is reluctant to let them near her and runs away. The 2 chase after her but are stopped when a hot dog stand falls on them. Logan says he hears something and asks Deadpool to keep chasing the girl while he deals with whatever it is. Turns out it's the helicopter full of Gen 4 agents looking to acquire the weapon. Logan assumes it's him and starts fighting with the soldier. Eventually, however, he's informed that the weapon in question is the girl that they spotted. The first issue ends here, with Deadpool and the girl out in the wind and Logan pinned down. Part 2. The second issue of this storyline begins with 3 panels that each depict the main characters of this series, i.e. Deadpool, Old Man Logan, and the mysterious girl, all in action committing acts of violence. It's accompanied by narration from the head soldier from the previous issue commenting on the fact that mutant kind he's found is resilient, formidable, and violent. This man, whom we learn is named Agent Hart, informs Logan, referring to him as Weapon X, that he's read his file and he's surprised to find him in such an aged condition. Logan retorts that it ain't the years, it's the miles, bub, which Hart doesn't find particularly amusing. He goes on to tell Logan to address him by his proper title and asks again where the girl is. Logan stalls him for a bit and tells them as much, trying his best to give her a chance to get further away from them. Hey, if you've had fun until now, please do leave a like and hit that subscribe button. It's a small click for you, but it'd help us in a huge way to keep bringing you this kind of video. Thanks! And, let's continue. So, Logan then proceeds to assault the soldiers again, and while he's able to get a few blows in, the soldiers hit him back with an electric stick and leave him shocked. They figure that it's not worth wasting their time on him and decide to fly away again, coordinate to meet up with the B team. Logan, injured and left behind, hopes aloud that maybe Deadpool will look out for the kid after all. The story then catches up with Deadpool trying to catch up with the kid. He makes a joke about pushing her aside to get ahead, but eventually catches a hold of her and explains that he wants to save her so that he can lord it over Logan forever. He then asks her name, and she tells him it's Maddie. Just then, a group of soldiers arrive, and Deadpool says they're interrupting. Naturally, a fight ensues, and Deadpool takes out each guy with an accompanied quip about the various items in the vegetable market they're in. He's also offended by the fact that they refer to him as a secondary target, and proceeds to shoot them all down. He does say after that he misses the swords that he'd named Hall and Oates, like the musical duo. They start getting shot at soon again, this time from the rooftop. They think they have the girl pinned down and inform Agent Hart of the same. Hart yells at them to bring the weapon back alive, but the team reports that there's an unknown player on the field that already took out the B team, and shortly after, C team stops responding too. Instead, we see Logan surrounded by a pile of bodies and he tells Hart that he should leave with what few men he's got left. Hart says that's not acceptable, and he's not going to leave until he's completed his mission. Despite Logan's warning to not die for this job and leave the kid alone, Hart says that 3 more teams are on the way, and if Logan doesn't back off, they'll bring him in too. Logan says that he was given an out, but since he didn't take it, now it's open season on all the mercenaries in Manhattan. Then we see him jumping off the roof and onto some agents nearby. All the while, Hart blares out a general warning to everyone that Weapon X is on the loose. Meanwhile, Deadpool and Maddie find themselves in an empty alley. Deadpool remarks that they finally lost the agents chasing them, and Maddie should be thankful he's helping her. Maddie says she didn't ask for his help, and asks, "Who the hell are you anyway?" To which Deadpool announces himself in the self-aware fashion he's known for. Madeline looks unimpressed and says, "Hard pass." Deadpool again impresses upon her the importance of him helping her, not only because he's an ex-Avenger, but primarily because Logan would be irritated by that. Madeline wonders aloud if Logan isn't his friend, to which Deadpool says he's more of a co-worker that he hates. She still tells him to go away, and Deadpool asks if it's because she might time travel again. Madeline is surprised to hear that, and Deadpool explains that that's what it looked like to him back at the park. He also makes a Terminator reference which she doesn't seem to get, only convincing Deadpool of this theory further. Madeline doesn't confirm or deny this, but instead maintains that Deadpool should get lost. Finally, he relents, but not before giving her a little action figure of himself. He explains that should she find herself in trouble without a way out, she should use it. Just then, Logan, who's been watching from the rooftop, is suddenly impaled with a spear and falls down near them. Right after, Deadpool gets hit with a motorcycle. Maddie has a look of recognition and runs away from them, repeatedly yelling about how they should have left her alone. Logan gets up to go chase her again, but Deadpool stops him and says that this isn't working. He suggests they talk to her, but Logan replies that she doesn't know better and he knows what's best for her. Deadpool disagrees, but they're interrupted again by Hart's team of agents. We see the pair shortly after bursting out of the alley on a motorcycle. While they're riding on her trail, Logan explains that Maddie is a mutant who he was trailing when the Genform people started coming after her. He reveals that she's an Omega-level mutant, and her powers showed up big on Cerebro. So now he wants to recruit her for the Xavier School to provide her with the right training and support. Deadpool asks what exactly her power is, and he explains that it's teleporting objects. If Genform gets their hands on her, he says, they'll try to turn her into a weapon. Both Logan and Deadpool agree that's bad, and eventually catch up to Maddie. However, they're too late as one of the agents gets the jump on her and captures her. They put her in a helicopter and are leaving. Logan and Deadpool try to stop them, but their plan doesn't really go anywhere since the helicopter has weapons. At the end of the issue, the two of them are left in the dust, and Deadpool jests that this is Logan's fault. Part 3. The third issue of this series again starts with 3 panels showing each of the main characters, with narration from Agent Hart that applies to all 3 of them. It's about being a fighter, being tough, and taking punishment. We see that he's saying all this to Maddie, who's strapped to a table inside a Genform facility. Hart goes on to say that what they're about to do will hurt, but it's necessary for his employers to learn just how powerful she is. Maddie asks Hart to come closer, and jokes that she just farted. Hart orders one of the scientists to start the tests. The results apparently are incredible, but she starts to generate too much information and ends up causing an overload that blows all the screens off the lab. Hart is fascinated and asks that the subject be immediately revived for more tests. Meanwhile, we see Wade and Logan walking along a road. As usual, Wade is going on and on about the time he beat up a bunch of nuns because he thought they were ex-special forces. Logan slits his throat with one claw and explains that he needs some quiet time, that he's asked 8 times already, and that he should need only ask once. Logan then starts to use his powers of smell to deduce the exact location of where they might have taken Maddie. He comes to the conclusion that it must have been an underground facility, based off the way the soil is and Genform's preference for secrecy. While he's doing this, Wade is still recovering from his slit throat, making gargling noises and continuing to annoy Logan. We also see that they're right above the facility right now and are being monitored by Agent Hart. He puts the facility on alert, activates the border guard, and tells the lab to prepare for a trial run. Logan smells something, which Wade jokes could be him farting, but Logan tells him to shut up and listen. Wade notices that Logan is still bleeding and asks about it, and Logan brushes it off by saying he doesn't heal so good anymore. He also mentions that the sound might be coming from below. Wade says he doesn't want Logan keeling over in the middle of a fight, but Logan is as stubborn as ever and starts arguing with him. As this is happening, the ground starts to bulge and a line of agents emerges from the newly made hill's crest. Deadpool starts mouthing off and double dares the agents to come out and fight them. Logan tries to caution him, but there's no stopping the Merc with the mouth, and soon the pair find themselves dodging a jeep that seems to fall on them from out of nowhere. As the ground here is not just the roof of the base, it's also a test site. As they're scrambling to find cover, they figure out that all these objects falling out of the sky must be Maddie using her powers, or someone forcing her to use them. They try to find cover while Hart looks at the results of his test and puts together just exactly how Maddie uses her powers. It involves a complex and fairly nonsense explanation of creating a matrix in your head of the surrounding area, selecting an object within it, and then teleporting it. He does, however, see boundless potential in weaponizing this power. Why? Who knows? The scientists conducting the test figure out that there's a delay with the teleportation and fix the problem, which allows them to drop objects on Deadpool and Logan more accurately. This catches us up then to the start of the series where we see the plane falling on the two of them. This is followed by a vision where Deadpool is lying on the ground, beaten up, apologizing to someone named Carmen, mumbling about killing someone and not letting Ellie be here, all while Logan in his classic Wolverine outfit is walking up to him. We find out that this is Wade's vision and he gets awoken from it by Maddie. They're in a prison cell with an unconscious Logan. Wade jokes about having the worst dream and Maddie explains that she's being tortured and experimented on by lunatics. She explains all the things they've done to her and says that he's got no idea what it's like to be treated like some lab rat. Wade says that they're here to rescue her, and he pulls off his mask to reveal to her his disfigured face. Logan wakes up just then and has a less than positive reaction to seeing Wade's face. He does apologize for it, after which the three of them start figuring out a way to get out of there. Wade suggests that Maddie should try teleporting living things, but Maddie says she's tried and it hasn't worked before. Logan isn't doing too well, so Wade asks her to try anyway, and she does. After some hard trying, she teleports a cactus into the cell. Wade is happy for a second, but Logan tells him that it's a fake made of plastic. As an alternative, Logan tries to put his adamantium claws against the door, but instead gets shocked and dragged away, possibly for more experimentation. Wade says he has a plan, but also that Maddie's not gonna like it. In the experimentation lab, Hart is excited to examine the notorious Weapon X, but before they can begin, the machine unexpectedly stabs Logan. Simultaneously, we hear noises coming from the prison cell. The guard goes in to check and we hear more noises. Then, the door of the prison cell blows off directly onto one of the lab coat guys and Wade comes through it sporting adamantium claws, eager to say a badass one-liner, but fibbing it in the usual Deadpool fashion. Part 4. Issue 4 of this series starts with a series of questions that fly across panels of our three main characters. They're all to do with what happens in the aftermath of the fight and who you're actually fighting for in the end. Then we begin with Logan dismayed by Deadpool's use of the word snucked as a catchphrase, a modification of the traditional snicked. Hart is taken aback by this daring attempt at escape, and he immediately orders his men to kill the Merc and sedate the girl. Deadpool starts stabbing people and attempting a new catchphrase, "It's stabbing time," a play on the Thing's catchphrase, "It's clobbering time." Logan asks Maddie how Wade has his claws, and Maddie explains that they wanted to help so they teleported them from inside his body. Wade told her it'd be okay because of Logan's healing factor. The plan seems to have worked out well for them, as Deadpool is now cutting into every non-friendly person in the lab, making jokes about cutting a four-eyed scientist into three. Logan, however, asks Maddie to put his claws back inside him before Wade does something crazier. Wade isn't able to kill the scientist as the claws disappear, and he realizes that they're back inside Logan, who goes berserk. Someone calls in a code red, and every soldier starts pouring into the room. Logan simply tells Wade to take the girl and run, and so they do, leaping over the band of soldiers. Maddie expresses concern for leaving Logan behind, but Wade assures her that he'll be fine. It's everyone else that should be worried. The two make their way to a locked gate and Wade is hurrying to get out. Maddie says she can get them out because while he and Logan were fighting, she managed to steal one of the scientist's tablets. They bicker a little bit more, this time about her powers being used to nearly kill Wade and Logan, as well as whether Wade really knows her or not. They settle on the fact that she at least knows how to get out of here, which is through two ways: a ship hangar that's back the way they came, past berserking Logan, or good old-fashioned climbing out. Meanwhile, Old Man Logan is going all out on the Hart and his men, cutting off legs, stabbing chests, decapitating heads, and so on. He sniffs out a still-alive Hart from a pile of bodies, ready to kill him too. Hart pleads to Logan for his life, saying that he doesn't understand because he hasn't seen Maddie's file. Logan is past listening at this point and says that there's nothing to be done except for him to put Hart out of his misery. Before he dies, however, Hart says something in his ear. Back through the tunnels of the facility, Wade and Maddie are scrambling to find a way out. Wade is still nagging her about teleporting living beings, which only makes Maddie angry at him. They open a door thinking it's an exit, but find it filled with more Genform soldiers. Deadpool wishes he had his swords right about now, Maddie fulfills his wish by teleporting 2 swords right into his hands. Wade is so happy he says he could kiss his swords, which Maddie finds gross. They make their way through the passages, leaving a trail of bodies and blood behind. Deadpool starts narrating a story to Maddie, even though she's not interested, to distract her from the murder and mayhem. He talks about this one time when an old school gangster named Flaps McGee was trying to kill him, so he decided to kill first. He tracked McGee down to his regular card game, but he was spotted, so McGee ran. Deadpool chases after him into a busy Manhattan road, and he notices a truck heading straight for them. He says Flaps pushed him out of the way just in time, and that's when it hit him. Maddie asks if the "it" he's referring to is not making assumptions about people, and Deadpool replies, "No, another truck hit me." The supposed point of the story is that Flaps didn't see the more immediate threat to himself while trying to kill Deadpool. He wonders what happened to Flaps, then remembers that he killed him. While he's wondering, an agent gets the jump on Maddie and puts a gun to her head, threatening to shoot her if Deadpool doesn't stand down. Maddie teleports the gun out of his hand and Deadpool kills him. Happy at the teamwork, they finally reach the last door, after which they have to start climbing their way out. However, Logan shows up, beaten and bloodied, and says, "The kid stays here." Deadpool is surprised at this and reminds Logan that they're supposed to be rescuing her and not leading her to impending doom. Logan says he can't let that happen because he saw Maddie's file. He says that she's volatile, unpredictable, and dangerous. He says that she needs to be kept here to protect her from herself. Deadpool asks Logan if he forgot the part where they were experimenting on her to weaponize her abilities, and so he's completely unwilling to leave her behind. This eventually leads to a fight between the two, finally coming around to the actual premise of the series. Deadpool breaks a sword while cutting Logan, then Logan cuts Deadpool's hand in return. Logan says this isn't about the two of them, but it's about the girl. Deadpool makes a joke about Logan disarming him. He asks Logan whether locking her up is really gonna help her and hits him with his cut hand, making a joke about how he's stumped. Logan tells him to back off because he's never been part of this. Deadpool retorts that he's part of this now and he can keep Maddie safe. This goes on for a bit. Deadpool gets stabbed in the head with a piece of his own sword. Finally, the fight is interrupted by Maddie and Deadpool makes a joke about it. Maddie says she can take care of herself and that she never asked to be saved. A white light encompasses them and then suddenly they're outside. Deadpool is overjoyed, saying that he knew Maddie could teleport life forms if she tried enough. Logan points out that he should look around because she didn't transport them, she transported everything else around them. The issue ends with them standing in the middle of a crater looking up at a giant mound hanging up in the sky. Part 5. The last issue of this series begins again with a narration from Hart, who's revealed to be badly injured but still alive, talking about how Logan, Deadpool, and Maddie are all killers without restraint or calculation. However, he'll not let them go to waste, as by his skilled hand they'll soon serve their proper function. The story then picks up in the moments right before the large teleported mound of what used to be an underground facility is now falling down on our 3 main characters. Deadpool says they need to do something fast, and Maddie says it doesn't matter. Logan says she could teleport them out, but Deadpool again reminds him that she absolutely cannot teleport anything living. He asks Maddie again, and she confirms it. Deadpool says they don't have time for this, but Logan explains that he knows a lie when he can smell one. He tells her to teleport them before they get flattened. She says okay, and the two of them disappear, leaving Deadpool behind. The whole thing falls on his head seconds after that. Many hours later, a bloodied Deadpool makes his way out of the rubble, iron rods and debris sticking out of him. He goes on and on about being stuck between a rock and a hard place and being severely injured. He then sees Logan approaching and calls him out for leaving him behind. He then tries to engage in friendly banter, but Logan warns him about no more playing around. Deadpool agrees and asks where Maddie is. Logan replies that it's his last chance to drop it and stay away from the girl. Deadpool disagrees. Another fight ensues, and Deadpool reminds Logan that just a few days ago they were fighting over who got to save the girl and now he's trying to protect her from him, which isn't making a whole lot of sense. Logan says it's not that simple, and the kid is already beyond help. Deadpool fears that Logan did something to her, but Logan, in an effort to be mean, brings up Deadpool's kid and how he abandoned her. Deadpool gets furious at this and screams that he never abandoned Ellie. He didn't know she was alive, all while stabbing Logan with a sword. He also adds insult to injury by insinuating that at least he didn't get his kids killed. Now that things get more personal, they fight a bit more, but Logan explains that the last thing he wants to do is hurt Maddie. He reveals what Hart told him, which was that she intentionally led the two of them to Gen form. She watched the two heroes kill everyone because that's what she wanted to happen. There must be something wrong with her, and she could become the most dangerous mutant ever known. Logan says he wanted to stop a bad future by saving her, but he failed. The story then flashes back to before, filling us in on what happened while Deadpool was stuck under the dropped rubble. Logan grumbles about Maddie being able to teleport people but leaving Wade behind. Maddie explains that she's seen Wade in action and he'll be fine. She's not so sure about Logan though. Logan is pissed and says she's coming with him to the Xavier school, but Maddie disagrees, revealing that there's a reason she doesn't teleport people. As she says that, Logan starts keeling over in pain, clutching his chest. She says that she's sorry and that she didn't want any of this as we move to another flashback within the flashback, covering Maddie's backstory. She's a kid who got bullied for allegedly stealing things, and maybe her actions led to her dad eventually leaving. We then see a year pass, and Maddie wishes for her dad to come back. He appears out of thin air, and Maddie doesn't understand yet that she caused it. As soon as he appears, he also has the same problem as Logan, and we can presume that he dies because of it. Maddie explains that she can teleport herself, but if she teleports anyone else, they end up dying. She could have left the base whenever she wanted, but she wanted to learn more about who was after her. She also says that Wade's better off dying under the rubble, but because Logan would have left her there to be locked up, he deserves the kind of death that she witnessed her father have. Before she leaves again, she warns Logan to not be blinded by his own ego and come after her, because he'll regret it. Her final words to him are, "See you, old man, or not, I really don't care which." The flashback ends with Logan struggling to keep himself alive while his body starts to betray him. However, coming back to the present, we see that he's alive at least and trying to heal himself since that happened. He says that she learned the hard way not to teleport people, but he made her do it again anyway. Deadpool says that while that may be true, just because she did bad things doesn't mean they can just give up on her. Her dad wasn't able to be there for her, but at least they can. Logan points out that look how that's ended so far, and that it's better to leave this matter alone. Deadpool wonders if they're still responsible for her or not, and Logan says he's not sure. He tries to apologize to Logan for misreading the situation, but in classic Deadpool fashion, isn't always completely sincere. Logan says he can't exactly blame him because he's guilty of doing the same. He's been trying to stop bad shit from happening since he got to this time period, but he should have been focusing on Maddie's present more than her future. Deadpool does the old, "You and I aren't so different after all" line, which Logan says is a hard no-no. He even disagrees with Deadpool's plea that they're bonding or that they're friends now. Deadpool then, as a last effort, asks Logan to do one thing for him, a fist bump. Logan is about to say something, but instead agrees and fist bumps the Merc, and the page ends on a visual joke where Logan's claws come out and stab Deadpool's fist as they're bumping. 2 months later, we find Agent Hart in Idaho. He's living in a barn by himself. This time, when he goes in, he finds Maddie there, waiting for him, in a new haircut nonetheless. She says that she's heard he's been looking for her. However, he was actually easier to find. She asks what he wants from her, and he says that he has a proposition for her. He realizes that he was wrong to try and use her as a simple instrument like Deadpool or Logan because she's a more powerful mutant with many other unique qualities. She's a killing machine in her purest form, and an alliance with him could be beneficial. Maddie stops him there and reveals that she let him experiment on her to learn more about herself and her powers. She ominously then says that all evil scientist types have no hearts and wants to find out if that's true. We see blood starting to soak through Hart's shirt as Maddie tells him that he should never have come looking for her, and hopefully Logan and Deadpool won't make the same mistake. As he keels over and dies, Maddie says a simple goodbye and the series ends. Marvelous verdict. Overall, this Versus outing from the Marvel X-Men world is a short and sweet adventure with a little bit of a twist. Although it doesn't reinvent the wheel by any means, the story does have some interesting and unexpected turns, along with a few good laughs from Deadpool and some from Old Man Logan as well. For starters, the idea that Deadpool always has to go up against someone else from the Marvel Universe isn't particularly new. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Both the first time and the second time, Deadpool Killustrated, Deadpool vs. Deadpool, etc. have all explored the idea of the Merc with the mouth going up against beloved heroes from the Marvel canon. Some of them have worked really well. Some of them, haven't. A lot of these hero versus hero comics almost always has the same structure. The titular heroes initially go up against each other because of a misunderstanding, chasing after a MacGuffin, or a blackmail mind control sort of thing, and eventually there's a bigger bad that forces the two to team up. It's a reliable formula that mostly works. In Deadpool vs. Old Man Logan, this formula is slightly twisted on its head as the two heroes don't really have it out until pretty late in the series, which some fans may find a tad bit gimmicky, but it's a welcome change. Because both heroes are sort of lost at the start of the series, there's no big motivator or moral compass pitting them against each other, but rather just a good old ego contest, which is eventually addressed by writer Declan Shalvey. So, points for that. The humor is fine for the most part, especially if you don't mind the childish jokes and cheap shots that Deadpool goes for. But if that isn't your cup of tea, then Deadpool as a whole might not be for you. There's also no real big bad, for the most part, which keeps the story from feeling like a complete cop-out of the premise. We do get introduced to a completely new character, Maddie, the Omega-level mutant, who also serves as the big twist. Whether that twist lands as well as they'd expect it to, well, that depends on how many comic books you've read before. There are also story beats and elements across the 5 issues that repeat far too often. The central conflict evolves very little, and so there's a sense that the more you read on, there's very little information or flavor that's new. So there's a part in the middle where the story is progressing quite quickly, and very little is being resolved between the main 3 characters. Even so, the biggest saving grace of this series is the art by Mike Henderson, with clean lines, the use of solid backgrounds, and a sense of minimalism. Except when it gets real bloody, the artwork really lends itself to easy reading while also creating the sense of a world that's much bigger than it actually is. While some of these panels don't always flow from one to the next seamlessly, being boxed into very clear rectangles, I won't say the reader misses much in terms of context. What you miss in the words you can put together with the feeling of the artwork. Plus, it's one of those comics where the visual gags land more than the jokes in the text bubble. So, if you're looking to spend an afternoon reading something that flies by quickly and doesn't make you think too much, this might be the series for you.